Ravenwood Manor stood perched on a lonely rise, its stones gray and crumbling like ancient teeth against the perpetually bruised sky. My father, Robert, inherited it from a distant, rarely spoken of relative. It wasn't a home. It was a mausoleum wearing the disguise of architecture. We moved in seeking a quiet life, escaping the clamor of the city. We found only silence, heavy and weighty. It began innocently enough. My father, ever the pragmatist, decided the old study needed refurbishment. Behind a loose panel near the hearth, he found a heavy journal bound in what felt like dry, stretched skin. It was brittle with age, filled with cramped, spidery script and unsettling symbols. He dismissed it as morbid curiosity, a glimpse into a long-dead occupant's eccentricities. He placed it on his desk, intending to look later. That same week, a peculiar malaise settled upon us. Not sickness, not exactly. More like a profound draining, a weight on the chest. The first to go was my grandfather, Elias. He lived a few miles away, a reclusive man who had always seemed afraid of Ravenwood. He called my father, his voice raspy, speaking of nightmares and a terrible cold that had seeped into his bones. Within hours, he was found dead in his armchair, eyes wide, face contorted as if gasping for air that refused to come. The doctors called it a sudden heart failure, but father looked at the journal on his desk with new, unnerved eyes. Then came my mother, Catherine. A week later, she started complaining of the same suffocating cold, the inability to draw a full breath. We watched, helpless, as her strength ebbed away, her final moments a desperate, silent struggle for air. Another unexplained death. The village physician muttered about a virulent flu, but I saw the fear in father's eyes. My sister Eleanor fell next. Younger, vibrant, full of life. It was crueler with her. The sudden weakness, the panic as her lungs seized. Her screams were thin, ripe things, like tearing silk. She died in my arms, her final, ripe breath a sound that haunts my dreams still. 3 deaths, all marked by that same terrifying struggle for air. Father was a ghost in his own house now, his face a mask of terror. He spent hours poring over the journal, his hands trembling. I found him one evening, sobbing, the brittle pages open before him. He spoke of our ancestor, Silas Croft, who built Ravenwood centuries ago. He'd coveted the land, taken it from its rightful keepers through treachery and bloodshed. To solidify his claim, he made a pact with what the journal didn't explicitly state, but the symbols hinted at something ancient and hungry. The land was bound, yes, but the lineage was cursed. The pact demanded a toll, a morbid tax on the bloodline. 7 souls marked by the finder of the key to the journal itself. 7 lives claimed by the 7 last breaths, a slow, suffocating death, each occurring after the key was disturbed, affecting the next 7 living descendants connected to the land. Elias, father realized, was the 3rd, already weakened by age and proximity to the house's true nature. Father was the 4th, mother the 5th, Eleanor the 6th. The journal listed the deaths in a chillingly precise order, tied not to finding the journal first, but to the curse's ongoing cycle triggered anew by its disturbance. The first 2 had died generations ago, setting the morbid pattern. Elias had been number 3, his death a grim foreshadowing ignored. Father, mother, Eleanor followed, completing 4, 5, and 6. Now, only 1 remained. I looked at the journal, then at my father's haunted face. The 7th. It could only be one of us. He didn't have to say it. The rattling in his chest started that night. He spent his last hours huddled by the fireplace, wrapped in blankets, shivering despite the heat, his breath coming in shallow, desperate gasps. I watched him die, the fourth death in less than 2 months, the seventh in the lineage's cursed history. His eyes, like my sister's, held only terror and the desperate plea for air. I am alone now in Ravenwood. The silence is broken only by the groaning of the old house and the sound of my own breathing. I've read the journal. I understand the pact, the toll, the horrific count. 6 have fallen since the key was found. Grandfather, father, mother, sister, and the 2 before Ilias. Lost to history, but marked in the journal's chilling script. The cycle, reactivated, demands its final prize. The cold has started to creep into my bones. There is a weight on my chest, and sometimes, just sometimes, drawing a deep breath feels like pulling fire into my lungs. I am the 7th, and I can feel the brace counting down.